Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week, and halfway through we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars, and we've spun it off. We've passed 100. We're at 101, Andrea. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning I put a post out with Zach and I holding coffees. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Hey, you two. Thanks for making car reviews fun, engaging, and conversational, and for working through review data for objective recommendations. We currently have 2 ICE cars and plan to replace one with a full electric in the next year or so. We will likely want to replace our other cars 3 or 4 years from now as well with another ICE vehicle, but I'm concerned that technology and research on ICE drivetrains will diminish as companies focus on electrics. Do you think there will be a tipping point when ICE vehicles no longer evolve and become outdated technology?
Well, if you asked us a year ago, I would say, yeah, you're probably right. And there were talks that they're not going to be investing anymore. Some brands were not investing in any new engine technology.
Yeah.
And then the EV slowdown happened, and now they're all like, yeah, we're going to, well, Volkswagen was one, for example. They were going to be all electric by 2030. They changed their mind. They're taking a chunk of that money and putting it towards new engine development.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot is changing now. Their consumers are speaking. Some love EVs, some love hybrids and plug-in hybrids, but others still want their gas models. And it's interesting. We just came from Newfoundland, and speaking to people there, they just don't have the infrastructure in place. They don't want to plug in. They love their big pickup trucks, and they love their V8s.
Also, they have vast distances to travel.
Sure.
And then you get out to places in the middle, the heartland of America, where you have miles and miles and miles of nothing but, prairie.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard sell for those people on electric cars.
And I think things just keep evolving. You have to look at the market. These brands are learning a lot as time goes on. And I think that they need to pivot sometimes. I wouldn't worry about purchasing a gas model. I think that they're going to still work for many people, and EVs will work for others. So it just depends on the situation that you're in.
Exactly, Andrea, exactly.
Which is the most reliable Japanese cars and SUVs, and what's your favorite coffee?
Okay, I think the coffee one came out of a right field. Left field. I just remember looking at the quality scores, initial quality, and one with the highest ranking is the Lexus IS.
Yeah.
So that is the compact sedan. They've been making it pretty much the same way for over a decade now. So that is one. If you wanted to buy it and keep it for the long run, that would be one.
Well, there's a lot of reliable vehicles. The CX-5 from Mazda is reliable. The CX-30 is reliable. Toyota offers a lot of vehicles that are reliable. Subaru, the Crosstrek is very reliable. So there's a lot out there, and I think that it changes over time depending on whether brands are bringing out brand new vehicles or they're carrying forward old powertrains, like we see with the CX-90 and CX-70 with the transmission having a few issues there. And that reflects the brand and whether they're stay at the top of the list in reliability.
A perfect example of that is Forester has just been updated. So they put the new in-dash technology, but it's new to Forester, but it's not new to Subaru. They've had it in other products for several years, many years actually. The drivetrain is carried forward.
Yep.
So even though it's a new vehicle, new styling, new interior, a lot of the componentry is carried over.
And I always use the Acura RDX as a good example because when it first came out, it had a lot of issues with that redesign, but now is quite a reliable vehicle. Acura has really worked through all the kinks. If you had one mainstream sedan to drive, what would it be?
Mainstream sedan?
What would you pick?
I don't know. Mainstream sedan. I think I think they're digging around for whether we like the Camry or the Accord. I would probably say I can't wait. I'll tell you what. I haven't driven it yet. We're still waiting. Apparently, it's on a train, choo choo choo, all the way across the country. I want to drive the new Civic Hybrid.
Same. So I think for me, sedans, I'm gonna say the Civic hatchback. I really like that vehicle.
Andrea, it says specifically sedan. and then you say
Oh,
hatchback.
that's
So
true.
you can't choose that one.
Okay, so I would say Civic. That's really one of my favorite sedans.
And then what about one class bigger? I would go Camry, I think. the
Yeah,
new
I'd either
Camry.
go Camry or I would go Accord Hybrid. I really liked it. I like the Accord. I know many of you say it's so boring now. They really ruin the looks of the new Accord, but
It's
I
dull
like
looking.
it. I like
Dull
it.
looking.
So I guess it's between Camry and Accord. I'd drive both of them. I'd see kind of what I feel at the time and then just go for it. In your last Q&A, you talked about the psychological 100,000 barrier for cars. Would you apply the same thinking to EVs? Also, we are approaching 80,000 on our Y and debating if we take the extended warranty to 120,000 or not. So keep it till then. Many people recommend to us to take it due to the high cost of Tesla mechanics. Love the videos. Cheers from Rob from Eastern Township of Quebec.
Okay, well, I would go on what the online community is saying. I mean, if you're a Tesla owner, you're probably dialed into that community. And if they're warning you that there's some danger ahead and there could be high cost, then the warranty might not be a bad idea. I don't think EVs are going to have the same 100,000 kilometer barrier like you get with a lot of cars. And one thing Andrea touched on in that video is, timing belts need to be done typically around 100,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles. And you're in that replacement cycle of water pumps and, suspension components, and all of that stuff wears out around the 8-year mark and needs to be replaced. So some of those would still be transferable to EVs.
True, but there is less maintenance on electric vehicles. I think the biggest issue is really the battery and degradation of that battery. Is it still charging well? What is the speed of that charging? Is it keeping its charge? All of that stuff. I think that if it's fine, then it's not an issue with an electric vehicle. I think you can drive electric vehicles for a very, very long time.
I think the biggest problem you're going to have in Quebec is rot. It's the problem you have in Quebec for every brand is cars rust. So that's something you might want to check.
Congratulations on continuing to set the standard. Thank you.
What's the standard?
I guess it's a good standard.
I hope it's good.
What was your favorite or most surprising aspect of your recent visit to Newfoundland?
It wasn't surprising for me, but I'll guess what it was for Andrea. Can I guess for you?
Sure, go for
The
it.
people.
Oh man, the people are so great there. I just love them all. Everywhere we went, and even their accents.
It's so
when
great.
they tell stories, I'm just like this.
Mesmerized.
Yeah, and I really loved that I was able to shoot the gun, the 12 o'clock gun.
Signal gun! Time! Whack.
Wow!
Wow, that's loud.
Oh, how cool!
Hey!
Program. Thanks for coming.
Can we do it again?
Awesome.
Can we do that again?
No, only once during the day.
Only once a day. On Signal Hill.
In St. John's, yeah.
St. John's. That was pretty cool. Only one person a day gets to do that between July 1st and Labor Day. So that was a pretty special moment. And the guy was amazing. He was taking me through the history, took you through the history. He had so much to say. And it was just fun to do it.
The one thing we'll say that we missed in Newfoundland is because Newfoundland is the rock, it's an island, everything has to be brought over by ship and then trucked across the island. Fresh food, like Andrea really loves her fresh salads. Mm-hmm. You're just not getting it the same way you would in other parts of North America. So we kind of missed that a little bit. But if you want good fish, they got good fish.
I also think if you love fish and chips and fries and burgers and fries and even pies, like, not sweet pies, but shepherd's pie, that sort of thing. They do such a good job with that. We found that in St. John's for sure. But then we went to other parts like Port Rexon, and they kind of had a farm to table idea in their restaurant, and they used all local stuff in that area from their garden. And the Newfoundland cod was amazing there, and they had wonderful vegetables. And then another area we went to, Norris Point at Nettie's.
Nettie's Inn.
I guess it was Nettie's Inn, yeah. They had a restaurant in there, and it was the same thing, farm to table, and it was delicious. I had cod every single night there. They knew my order by the second night. They had already written out my order. We were there 3 nights.
Andrea, the ocean called and they want their cod back.
Oh, it was so good. I miss it. I miss the cod. Hello, Andrea, always sporting her date, Jess. Zach, if you can keep one watch, what would it be?
Oh, so
you
you're
could
talking
only have
about...
one watch. So he noticed that I always...
You got that for a big anniversary, Andrea. You did
did.
pretty well that year. You got a...
And it's my favorite watch, and it's the only one I wear.
If I had to choose one, I have a vintage Tudor Submariner, which is blue, which is called a snowflake. So I have too many watches. Actually, there's no such thing as too many watches. I don't have enough watches.
But no, he's asking if you could only wear one watch.
I know what he's asking.
What would it be?
I don't have too many watches. I can always add more to the collection. I have a lot of watches. But if I had to go into the safe, and we do have a safe, I would pick the Tudor Snowflake Submariner from the mid 1970s.
That is a nice one.
It really pops. Blue. A blue Submariner is a rare thing, so I got one of those.
Hey, Zach and Andrea, I'm looking for a first car and can't decide if I want to go for something new, like the VW Taos or Subaru Outback, Crosstrek, or if I should buy an older used vehicle, such as a 2012 Ford Escape. I just graduated high school. I have a decent budget for a newer car and I work in trades, construction. Would it be worth getting a brand newish car at my age or no? Or should I stick to an older vehicle? Well, it sounds like you've got a pretty good budget for a young person. The Outback definitely gets up there in price. We always recommend the more powerful engine in that vehicle.
Turbo.
Yeah. So that does get up there in price. We really like the Crosstrek. Crosstrek is fantastic. It's got great ground clearance on it. Going for a used vehicle, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's kind of old though.
That one's too old. I think for a young person, you probably like the technology that's being offered, whether it's wired Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or wireless.
I just want to ask one thing. So what did he say? He's just finished high school?
High school, but he's in the trades.
I just want to do a little bit of a life lesson to others out there. So here's somebody finishing high school. He's in the trades and he can afford an Outback. So this is a newsflash for a lot of people. You want to have a standard of living. Being a barista ain't it.
No.
It's like our son is a level 1 electrician.
Yeah.
He make a good living. I would say for me, it would be Outback because there's flexibility. I don't know what trade you're in, but you could put stuff in the back of it. Tools, anything you need to put in the back, the Outback would be very functional.
Another one to consider is the Taos. It's actually a good size for the subcompact class. Has a dual clutch transmission for a young person. I think that you would really enjoy driving it. It's quite engaging. Some people don't like the dual clutch. They don't find it to be smooth enough and too jerky. But I think you would like it. And it comes with some great technology. Volkswagen doesn't have the best reliability record. So that is something to consider. The Subaru Crosstrek gets a great reliability score, as does the Outback.
I go Outback.
Hello from Kingston, Andrea and Zach, aka Auto. Have you heard any more about the auto manufacturers selling our driving data to insurance companies without our knowledge, which sometimes leads to increased premiums for the customers and said automakers? This is like biting the hand that feeds it. Thank you for bringing this to light originally, as you've done with so many other important issues. Keep up the great work and keeping it real. Thanks.
Okay, so the story that they're referencing is there was a couple just south of us here in Washington State who had a Chevy Bolt, and the car is connected and data is being fed into the cloud. And then when they went to reinsure the Chevy Bolt, they were told that their premium was way higher. And then they dug into it and asked why. And they said there was a data company collecting data that showed that they had, the anti-lock brakes come on, the traction control, forward collision warning came on, and put them at a higher risk. Therefore, they had a higher premium. And then what was the name of the company again?
LexisNexis.
LexisNexis. So LexisNexis has nothing to do with Toyota and Lexus, by the way. It's the company that collects this data.
It's a huge problem. I wouldn't want that at all. I think many of you feel the same way. Nobody wants your data shared to your insurance company, and there's different reasons why you drive at different times. This person, I guess his wife was driving, and they had it from the moment she left the house to the moment she came home, and they tracked all of it. And she had some quick braking, and that was a problem. That was
but that happens.
Of course it happens. I mean, say somebody runs across the street in front of you, you're going to brake. You're doing your job. That's what you should do when you're driving a vehicle.
I think it should be, have you had an accident and have you had a claim? That's the way it's always been.
Of course.
If you have an accident, you have a claim. Okay, your insurance is rated on that, your age, where you live, the chance of the car getting broken into, stolen, all those things come into play. But if you've never had an accident or a claim, you, in my opinion, you've got a clean record, whether you put on the ABS or not.
True. So some viewers have reached out to me on Instagram through a direct message, and one brand in particular, Hyundai, has eliminated that. Apparently, that is not available anymore in their system. I'm not saying that Hyundai gave the data to insurance companies. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there was a system in place within the vehicle that tracked your driving. Whether that was shared or not, I don't know. We have the same thing with our Volkswagen GTI.
Yeah, so I think what you need to do is find out the specifics of your company, whomever it is, and your car, and find out how you can switch it off. The one thing you got to remember, that the car is connected through a SIM card.
Yeah.
In the car somewhere is a cellular connection and a SIM card. You could find out and maybe take it out if you don't want it. Then all the connectivity things that you maybe use wouldn't work, and you would just be stuck with your phone, which for me would be fine, because you know what, Andrea? We never had any of this nonsense.
Nothing.
Until a few years ago, and we all seem to get around just fine. So all you need is your Apple and Android, and you're good to go. Why your car needs to have a SIM card and connected, I don't get it.
All of that stuff. I think the most important thing is to ask the question when you go to the dealership and you want to buy a vehicle. What is involved in that? Is that data being shared? So obviously GM did that.
Yeah, but dealers, what are dealers going to say? Oh no, we don't share.
Or they don't even know.
They don't even know.
They don't even know.
So
do your due diligence. Like
Yeah.
I said to Zach, why are you going on the Volkswagen app like
well,
that?
they asked us when we got
I
the
know,
car.
I
They
didn't-
said
I was like,
we're the dealership is scored on how many people activate this thing, and I thought, well, I'll do them a solid and I'll activate it. But now I wish I hadn't done it.
No, I'm sure you can deactivate it.
I'm going to deactivate
It's funny
it.
because I go out in the GTI and Zach's like, oh, wow. I come home and goes, oh, you took the GTI. And it just feels weird that
The door is open. The door is closed. I can tell you exactly where it is.
He knows exactly where I've been.
I don't know exactly. Well, I guess I do.
Yeah,
but I
you
don't.
do know. You could track it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should track it right now. Andrea's at Starbucks
How do you
getting
know?
coffee for questions, coffee, and cars.
Yes.
Oh, look at that, Andrea. We're all out
we
of time.
never answered our favorite coffee. Remember he asked
Oh,
that?
and for this
Starbucks.
is the people that say we don't have coffee in our cup. It's like, I'm going to turn a little bit. Yeah, there's coffee in there. I have Americano with just a little bit of non-fat milk.
Yes, and I have an Americano as well. So we like Starbucks. We've tried many different brands, and we keep going back to Starbucks because it's what we like. We like the taste. There are some local shops around, but they have more of a caramel taste to their coffee, which we aren't fans on. And yes, Starbucks is a large company, but we have
I just want to say one thing, Andrea. People go off and they say, why? This is what Andrea's gently getting to, and I'm going to be a little more blunt. Why don't you support local roasters and local coffee shops? And the answer is,
we like Starbucks. But I also want to point out that the community within our Starbucks coffee shop, the people there are incredible. They know what we like. They're so friendly. And they do a really good job. And they live in Canada. And they are getting paid and employed, yes, by Starbucks. But what a great place to get a coffee for us at our local Starbucks.
and it's very close to our house. The other thing is, in Cheers, Norm would walk in. They go, Norm. They all know us. We're like
everybody knows our name.
We're like the Questions, Coffee, and Cars couple.
Yeah.
Because we are. All right, so how do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.